Welcome to another mobility session. Today's session we are focused on the ankles and wrists. Let's take a second and get comfortable lying face up on a comfy spot on your mat and start to take the attention to your breath. Nice relaxed headspace as you take a deep breath in through the nose. Feel that belly rise and slowly let it all out through the nose. Just mentally staying nice and relaxed, letting everything slow down. I'll do a bit of a scan with our target tissues today. We're starting through the ankle, so take your attention to your feet. As you exhale, those toes and feet and ankles just start to get heavy. Start to relax those muscles in the bottom of your feet and the calves, mentally staying as relaxed as you can. And we'll take a couple of breaths with our focus on the upper body. Think about relaxing through your hands. As you breathe out, let any tension through those hands and forearms just float away with the breath. And we'll take one more long, slow, deep breath in here. We'll sigh out that breath. And I'll start with our attention on the tibialis anterior on the left side. So the TIB-ANT sit on the outside of your shin, basically. They're the muscles that pull your feet up into dorsiflexion. And they can be pretty sensitive, so just be aware of that as you jump in, finding the right position, the right angle, and the right pressure to settle into a nice releasing stimulus. And once you've found that right stimulus, take your attention back to your breath and try to use your breath to relax that TIB-ANT area. Just feel it mold into the lacrosse ball. As you breathe, nice relaxed headspace. You can start to free up that tissue to reduce any pain in the ankles and calves and improve your movement. And take one more long, slow, relaxing breath in here. Get nice and soft with that TIB-ANT as you exhale. And we'll take our attention into the left calf. So just flipping to the other side. You can use the lacrosse ball here if you've got it. If you have a kettlebell, sometimes that's a nice option, using the handle of the kettlebell. We're just going to demonstrate the lacrosse ball option since it's most accessible for most people. So in the calf, most people carry tension right where the two major muscles meet. So right where the meaty part of your calf starts. It may not be there for you. You can do some searching and find what's tightest and most restrictive for you, and then find the right angle to lean on, find the right amount of pressure, and then take your attention back to your breath. And as you exhale, just feel that calf start to fall asleep. As your lungs let go of air, let that calf let go of tension, mentally staying in your happy place. You can start to move through that ankle to get a bit of an active release effect. At whatever level feels right for you today, let yourself settle in, mentally stay nice and relaxed. And let's take one more long, slow breath here. Let's sigh out that breath, and we'll take our attention into some traction work. So the goal when we do traction work is to free up a bit of joint space, reduce the friction, reduce the joint pressure, just get those surfaces gliding a little better. So you're going to gently grab a hold of your heel and just gently pull your foot away from your body. We don't want to use a ton of force here, just want to free up that joint. Be a subtle pressure release. Sometimes it's helpful to do a circular motion with the foot as you do this. You gently pull your foot away and start to free up that tissue for better movement. This is fairly active, but doing your best to stay mentally relaxed. Relaxing those tissues in and around the ankle joint. One more breath here, and we'll dive into a low dragon stretch. So in the low dragon, you're in a lunge position with that chest heavy on top of that lower leg on that left side. Your right leg is really wherever it feels comfortable. It can be straight out behind you in a lunge. It can be out to the side. Keep your attention on that left leg, and relaxing through the ankle can be tough to mentally get these tissues to relax. You just scan through your areas. Anything that is not relaxed, do your best to relax it into that stretch using your breath to get there. In a few seconds, we'll get active here. And we'll start getting active by gently pressing down into the floor to resist that stretch, slowly ramping up tension as we go, pressing through the balls of the feet, and big tension for the last 5, 3, 2, 1, and let's reverse. Squeezing through the front part of your foot, gently actively pulling yourself deeper into the stretch, ramping up tension as we go, big tension for the last 5, 3, 2, 1, big breath out, relax, fall back into that passive pose, and just submit to the stretch, focusing back on your breathing, relaxing through that ankle as best we can. Might be finding new range by relaxing, but not by force. We'll take one more breath here, and we'll sigh out that breath. And we'll get into some left ankle circles. So there's a few different ways to do this. We find one of the best ways is lying on your back, just holding your shin with your arms and just moving your ankle through the range that we've got. And with each rep, making a little bit bigger circles to start to carve out new range and create stability around that ankle joint. And when we do these circles, it's sometimes helpful to try to find a second wind. When you feel like you've hit your end point, give it a subtle tug, subtle push to get a little further and keep working your way through. Let's really try to use some force for this last circle here. Big, nice, wide ankle circle. And let's sigh out that breath, and we'll move into the TIB-ANT release on the right side. So back to your lacrosse ball, face down on that lacrosse ball, looking for areas of tension through the outside of your right shin, a little panning along the muscle, looking for the right spot, looking for the right angle to hit it, and then the right pressure. So higher pressure can give us a higher release, but we don't want so much pressure that something else tenses up. So just be aware of that, aware of what amount of tension you need for today. Shouldn't be any significant pain. It can be uncomfortable. Try to stay relaxed through that discomfort to just let that tissue submit to the stretch in that release. Focusing on your breath every chance we get. And on the exhales, think about softening that tissue as you let go of that air. And we'll take one more long, slow, relaxing breath in here. Silky, smooth exhale. And let's switch to the opposite side. So working through the right calf, and again, a hot spot for a lot of people is right where the soleus and gastroc meet, but you really have to do your searching yourself and find out what is the spot for you today that needs attention. So do some searching. The whole calf is fair game, everywhere below the knee, down into the ankle. We don't want to go too aggressive into the tendon here, but anywhere on the muscle area, so into that mid calf, into the upper calf, and then once you've got that spot and that stimulus, settling back to your breathing, mentally staying as relaxed as you can, and letting that tissue just submit to the stretch. Just start to fold over top of that lacrosse ball to free up any trigger points, any tight spots, to improve our movement in that lower limb. Mentally staying as relaxed as we can, letting everything slow down. And we'll take one more breath here. We'll slowly sigh out that breath. And let's move into some traction work on this side. So again, firmly grabbing a hold of that heel and foot and giving a gentle tug away from the body to free up a tiny bit of joint space. You want to be relatively delicate here, especially if this is a new exercise for you. And just feel it out. You can move that ankle in circular motion. The goal is just to free up a bit of joint pressure, allow to undo the effects of gravity, and free up that ankle joint for better movement. So we are fairly active here with the upper body, but mentally staying as relaxed as we can through that ankle joint to minimize that tension. We'll take one more breath here. We'll sigh out that breath and we'll move into a low dragon on the right side. So again, in some version of a lunge, letting your chest fall heavy on top of that lower leg, allowing that knee to travel out in front of the toes. Should feel that stretching sensation in that lower to mid calf. And everyone's a little different. You might feel this more with the heel slightly raised. You might feel it more with the heel down. It really depends on your own anatomy. So do your searching, find the right position that allows you to get that stretch. And we'll gently get active here again by pressing the balls of the feet into the floor to resist that stretch, slowly ramping up that tension as we go. And big tension for the last 5, 3, 2, 1, and let's reverse. Squeeze through your TIB-ANT, actively pull yourself deeper into the stretch, holding the position, ramping up that tension as we go. Big tension for the last 5, 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax, fall back into that passive pose, and relax into that low dragon. Nice calm headspace. Scanning through that ankle joint turning off anything that's carrying tension, that is resisting the stretch, and just submit to that stretch. One more breath here. We'll sigh out that breath. You'll move into some right side ankle circles. So you can do this standing, you can do it kneeling. We find lying flat on your back, just gently holding the shin, allows us to mobilize the ankle in isolation. And just move that ankle through a big circle. And it can start relatively easy and feel out your range. And each rep, try to get a little bigger and more deliberate into those corners as you make that ankle circle. Making that ankle work at every position. Ramping up that tension as we go. Finding that second win, that second push, that next layer wherever we can. Let's really work for these last 10 seconds. Fighting through that range. Let's finish off this rep and we'll take our attention to the wrists. So we're going to go to tabletop. We'll go palms down, fingers pointed towards your knees, and just be gentle as you get into this. Find the right angle that feels right for you. You may not be able to stay upright in this. You may have to lean slightly forward depending on how well your wrists move. To find the right position, the right pressure, the right angle that allows you to get a stretch through those forearm muscles. And we'll gently start to get active here in a few seconds. Let's start by pressing those palms down into the floor at the base of your fingertip, slowly ramping up that tension to resist the stretch. Let's go with some big tension for the last 5, 3, 2, 1, and gently reversing, squeezing through the extensor muscles, actively pulling into that stretch a little deeper, ramping up that tension as we go. Big tension for the last 5, 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax, fall back into that passive pose. You may find you're a little deeper into the stretch as we work on getting active in the end range to create stability and strength through that wrist joint. Taking your attention to stay nice and passive. Nice relaxed head space. One more breath here. And let's flip those palms over. Fingertips are still towards your knees. We're going to focus on the flexed position and getting the palm as flat as we can, arms as straight as we can without any pain. You can go fully straight with your arms. You get a little deeper stretch in through those forearms. And again, if you have to scale back, you have to go a little less pressure, not quite to 90 degrees, whatever your wrist can handle, pain-free. Find that position. Mentally try to relax those muscles in around the wrists and forearms. And in a few seconds, we'll gently get active. Let's start by pressing down into the floor gently. Back sides of those hands, let's slowly start to ramp that tension up. And big tension for the last 5, 3, 2, 1, and let's reverse. Actively pulling yourself deeper into that stretch using those forearm muscles. Slowly ramping up that tension. Let's go big tension for the last 5, 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax, fall back into that passive pose. And again, you may find you're a little deeper in the stretch, and if you're not, that's okay. Wherever you're at, mentally staying nice and relaxed. Finding the right position, the right stimulus, and relaxing through your head as best you can. Let's take one more long, slow, relaxing breath here. We'll sigh out that breath, and let's move into some wrist circles. We'll start moving those wrists. You can do these both at the same time. You can do them in a nice, comfortable position, and just gently moving your wrists throughout their range in circular motion. And as we go through these reps, slowly attempting to carve out a little bit further range to create more stability and more strength around the outer limits of those wrists to make them more resistant to injuries. And keep chipping away. Again, you can find that second wind and really make yourself push as we finish up here. Last 15 seconds. Be a little more aggressive. Really flexing and extending into those corners. Let's finish strong with this last rep. And that is a wrap for today, guys. Thanks so much for coming out. Hope those ankles and wrists are feeling nice. And enjoy the rest of your day. See you tomorrow.